Alright, I am here. I am back. This time with yet another Star Wars The Vintage Collection figure. This time it's going to be Cobb Vanth from Season 2 of The Mandalorian. I thought he was kind of an interesting character. I mean, he's a cool, like, sheriff cowboy guy. But I think the main thing that at least made him look cool was obviously the Boba Fett armor. And I think that's kind of funny that, you know, the appearance of a whole other character is what makes him cool and memorable, because we just have not seen too much of this character, you know, outside of what happened in The Mandalorian. Of course, he was in the Book of Boba Fett where he just died and then came back to life within the span of like 2 minutes. I don't know what the point of that one was. But we finally got a figure for him in the Vintage Collection, which is kind of exciting because he does have a cool look to him. You know, you've got that very heavily battle-damaged Boba Fett armor mixed in with these kind of regular clothes beneath. There's like the red shirt and the brown pants, just kind of like a bit of a different kind of Mandalorian look, even though Cobb Vanth himself is obviously not a Mandalorian. And this figure has kind of a lot to him. We get a bunch of accessories that I'll show later. Essentially makes him a deluxe figure, so you are going to have to pay a bit more for this guy, which is unfortunate, but you know, that's the way it is. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the card back. So as you can see, it's been utterly destroyed, partially by me, but also partially by Amazon delivery services. They just shoved that shit into a box and it got all bent up, you know, which I really wasn't even too concerned about, just because it's kind of a mid looking card back. I think it's a cool image, you know. I don't think it looks bad, but I have not been caring too much about card backs anymore. You know, I'm here for the figure, and as long as the figure's looking fine, then I'm fine. And there's that description on the back. So first and foremost, there is the Boba Fett helmet, and this is actually a alternate head. This is not a removable helmet situation, and I just think this is yet another instance of Hasbro actually doing their jobs and just making something that looks good. I've got no problems with the sculpting or the paint apps. You cannot move the rangefinder down. It's just a soft plastic, you know. It's like, it's whatever, I don't care. But it definitely is a very good looking Boba Fett helmet. I just prefer this battle damaged look where you've got all the paint wearing off. You can see the silver underneath. I wish they would make a Boba Fett figure with that armor in the Vintage Collection, because right now we've only got the Black Series 1, and I do not like that mold. I think it looks like garbage. And we can go ahead and take the head off, which is actually on there pretty good, and we've got a Cobb Vanth head sculpt, Timothy Oliphant, looking pretty good. The likeness, I feel like, could be a bit better, but I think at this scale, it's a pretty okay job. And this is how I'll be displaying the figure, because I've got enough Boba Fett's as it is. I don't need another Boba Fett looking guy in there. It's just too much. It's too much. Moving down to the rest of the armor, I think the figure as a whole just looks pretty good. He is kind of skinny, so the armor isn't going to be 100% fitted to him. We saw that in the show. He's just a taller, skinnier character, so the armor is going to look a bit disproportionate, and in that aspect, it is accurate to the source material. Luckily, the rest of the armor does have that weathered look to it, so it's all consistent. You're not getting a bunch of, you know, inconsistent paint apps on each armor piece. There's pretty noticeable weathering throughout the whole figure. There's a look at the Mythosaur symbol on the shoulder plate, and here's a look at the jetpack. That's just going to be a pretty normal Boba Fett jetpack there. I think it looks pretty good. It might have slightly different paint apps than some of the other ones. What you can do here is just pop off the little missile piece. It's not going to shoot out or anything. I don't really know why they include this, other than to just show the jetpack without the missile in it, but you can remove it and put it back in, which is just really epic. And removing the jetpack, you can take a look at the back of the armor. The only place where it's not going to be weathered, it looks like. And you've got all the tubes coming down from the jetpack, which I believe that's what they're supposed to connect to, like, in universe. And they go down into the gauntlet, I believe, for the flamethrower or whatever other device he's got on there. So wires are pretty long, they're pretty thick, so wouldn't worry about those breaking if you're going to be bending the figure's arm. And moving down, he's just got some brown pants, some regular brown pants and brown boots. There is a reddish brown holster with a blaster pistol in there. And that's basically gonna be it for just the overall visuals of the figure. You do have that yellow knee pad right there, which can be removed. And let's go ahead and get onto that. So you can remove pretty much all the armor on this guy. Take the head off, you can remove the scarf thing, the jetpack. You obviously can remove the chest piece here. I don't know if you're gonna be able to pull these wires out of the gauntlet though. I do not want to break it, but as you can see, it's It's not budging. I would assume those are glued in there. So those don't come off easy. I guess you could take them off, but I'm just going to leave that how it is. I don't want to break anything. I don't want to have to glue anything back together. So you can remove some of the armor, but not all of it. I don't understand the point of that, but okay. But let's go ahead and put all this back together. So with that aside, getting into the articulation, everything's pretty normal here. Shoulders are pretty good. Elbows do go past 90 degrees. You got the ball hinges on the wrists. With the bandana on, you're not going to get too much articulation out of the neck joint. I mean, you can get like a little bit. It's mostly going to affect when you have the helmet on, though. You're basically going to get nothing when you have the helmet on. The torso articulation is weird because you only got a ball joint that's down there near the hips and no like ab crunch or anything like that. So there's not a whole lot there either, but it's not terrible. The hips, we just got the ball joints there, pretty nice. You get a good amount of movement. You do have thigh cuts, knees that go past 90 degrees, and pretty good ankle articulation as well with a back and forth. So everything's pretty good in the articulation department. Pretty satisfied with that. And finally, taking a look at the accessories, he's got this blaster rifle, which has no paint apps on it. It looks like it's some sort of Rebellion blaster, something that you would find like on a Rebellion soldier. Not too sure what it's called or where it originates from. Pretty sure I've used it in Battlefront before. This is definitely one of the more realistic, one of the more cool looking blasters in Star Wars. And you've also got this revolver looking blaster pistol. Once again, no more paint apps on there, but you do have somewhat of like a scope looking thing on top of there. And finally, we do get a couple of flame pieces that can go inside the jets on the jetpack. And, you know, just make it look like he's flying around. So that's going to do it for this video. That was the Star Wars The Vintage Collection Cobb Vanth. Pretty good figure. I like it a lot, but it doesn't have me super excited, you know, jumping around out of my seat. I'm not that hyped up about it, but it's cool. It's a solid one. I guess I'm glad that I bought it. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one.